Here are the go-to steps that I use to fix the most common computer problems. The first one is reboot your computer. Restart your computer. You should be restarting your computer at least once a week. But when you notice a problem, it seems to jam up, slow down, something not working right. Rebooting it is just kind of like letting it take a break for a few seconds and start fresh again. Yes, it's a common thing you hear, have you tried rebooting? But it's so common because it works. The other one, people come to me, they said, oh, this app's crashing or this thing's not working right. And they expect me to go in and recode the app or something, recompile it and make it work again. I'm not the coder. I didn't develop the app. There's probably teams of people working on the app. So I kind of defer it to those teams. And what they do is they're constantly working on looking for bug fixes. They're bringing out new features. So I would tell someone, okay, well, let's try updating the app or updating the operating system. Sometimes if there's like a bug or something going on there, it will be resolved by that because they're tracking those bugs. Or even sometimes if it's not even related, sometimes rewriting of the code of the app or the operating system, and sometimes it just fixes maybe the problem that's just unique to your computer. So always looking for an updates with the particular app or your operating system, run the updates, probably reboot the app, reboot the computer, reboot the app. That will also fix problems a lot of the times. Sometimes when you're on this website, those are kind of web apps as well, and they're being used. So sometimes it's just not working right. Maybe you closed your browser, you opened it again, still the same problem. Here's one thing to try. Use a different web browser. So if you're using Google Chrome, try using Firefox. If you're using Firefox, try using Microsoft Edge or use Safari. If you're using Safari, use a different web browser. And if it works in that web browser that you're trying, then you know there's something going on with that web browser. Now, I'm not saying just switch to that web browser because that's where it works. It may come to that, but there's something else you can try. On each web browser, it saves cached information. It saves some of that information there, and also what they call cookies, which is like some stored information about your visit to that website. Now, each web browser allows you to have the ability to clear those out. So we call them clearing the cache or clearing your cookies. And they're different for each web browser, but you can find those in the settings to clear those out. And sometimes you have to clear it all out, or sometimes you can look for that specific app and you can just clear the cookie for that particular web page. But when you do that, it kind of resets it. So when you come back to that website, it's kind of you coming back freshly to that website as a first time. And that often fixes problems when you're trying to access a website that's not working for you. Another problem is I've heard people say, oh, my computer's it's slowing down, it's not working right, it's just so sluggish now. And I say, okay, well, what's going on? One of the tools I use is called Tree Size, and it's a viewer and it looks into the hard drive. And there's easier ways to do it besides using that. But look into your hard drive space. Sometimes when your hard drive space, your disk space is low, it can actually cause problems with the computer performance. So if you've stored all your photos, you stored a whole bunch of movies or whatever, and you're maxing out your hard disk space, your drive storage space, it's going to cause problems. I had one person tell me like, oh, all this stuff you installed on my computer, this management stuff is slowing down my computer. I was like, no, not really. All these other people are using it. They don't have a problem. But when I actually got into his computer, I found that his iPhone backups were using up most of his storage on his computer. It just kept on backing up, and it used all his disk storage and was slowing down his computer to a crawl. Okay, the fifth one that I inevitably tell people is sometimes a computer can't be saved. You know, they're saying, oh, my computer is slow, it's not working right with these new apps, websites, and I look at the computer and it's like a 10-year-old computer. And I'm like, you're trying to use something that's brand new, that's working, you know, it came out this year, and it's not working with your computer because it's just too old. Your computer wasn't made to run these latest apps. So yes, computers, you can't keep them forever. They keep on updating and evolving, and you need to just keep up with that if you want to use the latest stuff. My rule of thumb is if your computer's older than 4 years, I'd start looking into getting a new computer. Around that mark is when computers really they just can't keep up with the latest apps and websites that come out with that. If you do have to buy a computer, my recommendation is not to buy the cheapest computer you can find, because oftentimes when you buy the cheapest computer, you end up having to replace it sooner. I also don't recommend buying the most expensive computer either, because that goes out of date just as soon as you buy it. So buy somewhere in the middle tier computers. Those will kind of give you the most value for the money you spent on it and last you at least 3 years. And depending on what you're doing with it, but normally it lasts you at least 3 years into 4 years, and then you should start looking to get a replacement computer after that. Well, I hope you found this information of value in troubleshooting your own computer problems.